Hello, good morning. I'm delighted to be speaking with you today from Perth, from my home in Western Australia. And I just wanted to bring up a couple of points that I really was excited to share that we have heard this week through a seminar with the Masters. And this is the connection and the relationship and the congruency between our concepts of mind and time, and how those concepts are indeed interchangeable. So I'm just going to distill it for you because obviously the masters have their own way of explaining things, and I just like to break it down a little bit into more bite-sized pieces. So as I understood the content that was received, when we talk about time, we really talk about time in terms of a circular fashion. It's a containment within a hoop or within a cycle. Even when we look at the shape of our clock, it's very circular, and all of our options are contained within it. When we talk about the limitation of time, and we think about our daily experience, how easy is it to say, I don't have time for that? Or what time is it? Or how much time is that going to take? And we really measure what it is that we are able to create. We measure how much space we believe we have to create in terms of what time is doing. And so time, as we know, has become quite a dictator for what it is that we experience in our daily lives. We also know that time is an external construct, and it is a belief system. It perhaps is not inherent to who we actually are as beings, and it begs the question, does time exist in the same way in other systems of life, and indeed in other galaxies and planetary experiences and so on? So time, as we know, is very third dimensional and is very particular to our Earth reality. So when we talk about time, we also are referring to mind, because the mind also contains the experiences that we have. We're talking about the mind brain and the way we process things with thought. It moves in a very circular fashion. We tend to loop back around to what we've known in the past, and we know that memories are cyclical. We know that the choices that we make are often repetitive and cyclical. But if we think about how we interchange those words, mind and time, when we say things like, I don't have time, are we really saying, I don't have the mind for that? I don't have time to do this. I don't have the focus. My mind doesn't want to engage with that. Perhaps we also might say, what time is it? And that might be the mind saying, what is it that we need to focus on in this moment? What is it that we want to put attention on? What about changing your mind? If I change my mind, I was going to focus on this, but now I'm going to change my mind and do that. Is that actually changing time? Is that actually changing the timeline of possibility of our experience? How is it that we don't really feel comfortable changing our minds? Isn't it interesting that once we choose something, we're really encouraged by society and the systems and structures in our reality to stick to it and persevere and continue on in that line of inquiry in that direction, whether it be a choice we make in life for career or schooling or subject matter or how we want to live our lives. We commit to things in such a way that we don't change our mind. And if we do, it can seem really disruptive. Well, that leads to the question, if we're changing our mind or our focus, are we changing time? And I'm inviting you this week to really consider how spontaneous thought and spontaneous focus and spontaneous action can encourage us to actually shift mind and shift time. So mind, as I'm understanding it from what the Masters have suggested, is the construct of time that sits within us. It's the limitation that sits within us for a particular parameter of experience. Let's look at that in terms of a circle or the shape of a clock. And time is the external construct or belief that allows the mind to continue to operate within that limitation of circular and cyclical experience. So the mind is the internal time, and time is the external mind. Really interesting how that's interchangeable. If we're wanting to change the timeline of our reality, or indeed if you're wanting to change the timeline of your own experience and open yourself up to more potentials and possibility for life, I invite you to change your mind frequently. For me, this was really interesting and exciting information. And I love it because when we disarm mind and when we disarm time, because remember they work together, one's internal and one's an external representation of it, what we're doing is we're actually disarming the mind and the thought process of mind, maybe you want to call that ego, that's up to you, from being the creative force in our lives, from being what decides is going to happen next, what decides we're going to create. So we are actually, when we are disarming from time, not only are we moving into the present moment, when we disarm from mind, not only are we moving into the present moment, but we're also now deferring back to heart-centered choice. So instead of the mind choosing based on a containment of time and limitation, we now have the heart or the source energy making those choices. So please, I encourage you to change your mind, to sit in the present moment and slip beyond time. We all know what it's like when we choose things from heart-centered place. When we do something that we really love, we feel that flow, we feel that zone. And in those moments, we don't really have a concept of time or an awareness of time. So much can happen in an instant. That truly is heart-centered creation, and that's really what we're stepping into now in this new earth reality. So thank you for a few moments of your time and your mind, and perhaps now you can slip into a beyond time, heart-centered space and really experience your day.